Hey guys, happy Thanksgiving. This is John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist, The Legend of Ashley Fox, science fiction fantasy books here for you on YouTube as well as on Amazon or Smashwords. Pick them up. Best science fiction fantasy you'll ever come across. I'll put it up against anything in the world. At least I'm really happy with it. It's not as Isaac Asimov. It's much more action-based. And you guys who've seen this know this. I'm just trying to start with a little different opening, a little bit. And Thanksgiving, I have so much to be thankful for. I am at the best spot I've ever been in my life. I could have more money. You could always have more money. And I suppose like everyone, I'm facing the same physical challenges everyone faces getting older. I think I'm losing vision in my right eye, which makes drawing difficult. But, and I don't think, I'm very certain. About a year ago, I had a thing happen where I got a whole bunch of those floaters all at once. They were like all chained together in a little ring, and it felt like you don't feel it in your eye. But the thoughts that crossed my mind were, oh, this is your retina detaching. And since then, the vision has slowly gotten less clear, and today it's really pretty bad. So thank God I have two eyes. It is what it is. Life throws some pretty hard curveballs at you. And I think I always knew this was coming. But yeah, other than that, I'm really, really happy for the way everything is working out. Specifically, this stuff that I am here talking to you guys about every day. I am working on an epic story and artwork to go along with it. It's not just the writing. And I'm working on it with my best friend, the artist who helped me do this. I've known him for over 20 years now, Jay Arcilla. He drew all the magnificent art in this Ashley Fox Ninja Babysitter comic, which is a PDF out here in the description for you guys to check out. It's not colored yet, and this is issue number 6. We don't have issues number 1 through 5 yet. But we also haven't found our pipeline, and I'm hopeful that that's why I'm out here, building an audience and hoping we can crowdfund these books through you guys once we reach sort of a critical mass here on YouTube. And once we get further along with the books, I'll update you guys as we go. I've got a page for Modern Savages, which I'm really, really happy with. That's my skateboarding comic about kids growing up in Los Angeles. I'm working on another one too about this girl, Desdemona. And she was sort of a serial killer / Johnny the Homicidal Maniac character. But she's not angry. And she's not evil, and I needed to develop the character some more, so I've come up with this concept that I think really, I had her as sort of an opportunist killer, but that wasn't her whole character. I didn't know the whole thing, and I had to just sort of sit and think about what her story is, and she can see demons. She can see people who are possessed with devils. So that's going to be really fun. And I'm going to be able to work her into the story that I'm working on right now, which I think is called Paradise. Well, it's not Paradise Lost. City of Angels is what Jay's calling it. And I've been calling it Stone Soup. I don't know if either of those titles will work. I think City of Angels is kind of the title for the story. It would be like Secret Wars. But it's still a Spider-Man story or an Avengers story. You know what I mean? So Avengers or Spider-Man is the name that I'm looking for, that I don't think I've found yet. Anyhow, we do have Tarzan number 24. And in this one, the Pellucidar story is finally over, which I'd never read. I think Edgar Rice Burroughs has some 30 Tarzan novels. And I confess, I have not read or listened to all of them. I think I've only read or listened to a few. It's not exactly like Conan. It gets very repetitive, very quick. And as cool as it is, it has a tendency to be a little bit one note. Edgar Rice Burroughs was not, I don't know. I suppose the John Carter stuff was good, but I never devoured that either. I don't know why. I should look into it again and figure out why. But this is Tarzan, the Jungle Lord Returns. As you can see, the subtitle is a little different. This is Tarzan leaving the Hollow Earth and going back to back to the regular surface world. And I have to confess and apologize again for yesterday. I think I named Alan Milgram as the inker. He's the editor. Bob Hall is the inker. And that is a case of my bad vision, my eyes going. They were never good to start with. I think that's why I was so drawn to comics to begin with. If I'd been like, I'm great at sports. Look, this is definitely what I want to talk about today. What do I love about fiction? What is it about fiction and comics? Is it comics or is it novels? Is it movies, TV, video games? All of it, except maybe plays. I appreciate plays, but I don't seek them out. I don't seek out, I wouldn't call them playwrights, but scripts. I don't seek out scripts for plays or anything like that. That's musical theater, I don't care. But comic books, TV, movies, what is it that drew me to this? And why am I so thankful for this? The comics and fiction in a big way saved my life. I was a problematic child because I had dual corrective eye surgeries. When it came to sports and all that sort of stuff, I'm physically fit. I have the discipline for it, but the hand-eye coordination was never there. So games like baseball, basketball, it always took 3 times more effort and practice for me than everybody else. And that time really isn't allotted to you as a child. No one's going to give you an extra 2 hours a day to go practice basketball before practice so that you can be at the same level as the other kids. That's just not how childhood works. Your days are much more scheduled. As an adult, you can find time for your hobbies. But when you're a kid, think about it, your days were pretty well packed. Mine certainly were. Once I got home, there were no resources for that kind of extracurricular activity. I came from a big family, so we were busy all the time. There was something going on. There was something to be done. I'm not complaining. It is what it is. It's a long time ago now. But what that gave me was this love for comics and for stories in general. I discovered I could learn a lot from fiction, and it was nowhere near as dry, as boring as being lectured. And I was being taught the things that I felt I needed to learn. I wasn't interested in engineering. I was interested in human engineering, how to get along with the people who were bullying me, with the people who were picking on each other, people who were starting fights with each other all the time. That's what I felt I wanted to learn. And so glad I did. And so that brings me to what I want to talk about with comics and what comics are and what your obligation to the audience is. Don't tell me you think there's no obligation to the audience. There absolutely is. You can't say then don't buy my book. You can't say that to everyone. You can't say it to everyone. If you want to split your audience in half, fine. I certainly don't want to. That's why I don't want to write politically themed books. I don't want to cut my audience down the middle. As much as I hate greedy, tyrannical Jews, I don't want to make them the villain of every novel, of every story. That's not good writing. That's not good writing. That's a terrible person. That's a horrible person who is publicly attacking someone they don't have the balls to physically attack, who's like verbally, or I guess you would say in print, attacking someone they don't have the balls to just go physically attack as an individual. And you can't attack a whole group. You can't attack an individual in lieu of a group. You can attack groups in a book like this, but you shouldn't. No one's going to want to read that twice. You got to write something from your heart. And you got to write something, hopefully, that stands the test of time, that is above politics, okay? So my favorite stories are above politics. Lord of the Rings is a great story. It's above politics. It's not conservative values, it's common sense values. It's that there's room on the Sahara for the zebra, the lion, the hyena, and the vulture, right? One does not have to rule over all the others. That's the real lesson of all this stuff. And there's all sorts of other lessons that you get from fiction. There's all sorts of lessons. One of the things that I have linked to my channel, that I posted on my channel, is chapter 22 of The Robe by Lloyd C. Douglas, which is sitting right here. I didn't know this was my favorite book until I reread it recently. This is the story of the Roman soldier who executed Jesus. And this is sort of like, what if Conan met Jesus? That's really kind of what it is. And it's a great story. In chapter 22 is the young tribune, Marcellus Gallio, and he's run away from Rome because they're going to have him executed. And so he's out, avoiding his execution, his imminent execution. And he deals with a small village, a microcosm of people run by a very wealthy landowner, and how he navigates all the different people there. And it's the same thing for an author or for a writer, right? I'm an adult. I'm a full-grown adult. I'm not going to gain 40 pounds. I'm not going to get, I'm not 25 anymore. So I've reached maturity, but psychologically, everyone is always learning. Everyone is always looking to learn more. Fiction readers, I don't know about you, maybe you read just for escapism, but I always read to see, not to see what I could get out of it to take for myself, but learning is seeing what you can get out of it to take for yourself. That's how you become better. That's the whole point of life. Unless you're already perfect, like the Buddha, and then all you're doing is helping other people, in which case you can become an author, right? Like, this is how I choose to give back. This is how I would like to give back. This has been the greatest gifts that have ever been given to me have been from authors, have been from writers and artists, working together, whether in a comic book form or in a novel. A novel is an author working on his own. So then that's what I've chosen to give back. And so I'm choosing to try and put as much of what I've learned, of what has been valuable to me, into my work, into these novels. And I did a great job with these. I spent about 5 years each on them. Maybe longer. It was about 10 years total. Probably longer. God. Yeah. From when I started the comic, from when I came up with the character, it was 13 years to when I finished the second novel. And I finished the first novel second. I don't know. I don't remember anymore. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, I'm thankful that I got the opportunity to do this. I'm thankful that all the lessons that I learned that have helped me throughout my life. Like, look, this is important about the eyes thing because I was not a natural. Everything I've gotten in my life, I've had to work my ass off for. I've had to work 3 times harder than everybody else. And it's paid off. And if I can do it, that means you can do it. And that's the lesson that I want to put into all my work. Discipline pays off. Do the work. And when it comes to this, when it comes to stories, comic books are stories, put the audience first. Not your message, not the world you want to have, not the world you like to create. Put the audience first. What do they want? What does the audience of a Tarzan want? Of a Tarzan story want? Not what do you want to give them, not what do you want to be congratulated for, not how do you want to recreate the world. Give the audience what they want. With these, the advertising, the people who should be attracted to this should absolutely be rewarded. If you think this looks cool, the story will absolutely reward you. That's just basic fulfilling a promise, right? That's what that is. And when this goes off the rails, like it has been for the last 8 or so issues, you feel you're promised one thing and delivered something else. For whatever reason. And that's never in the best interests of a producer/consumer relationship. And it is a relationship. This is supposed to be one of the most rewarding relationships in your life. If you're consuming this regularly, otherwise you'll stop. Last night I watched Ethan and Shane Davis talking about comics, and they looked at Onslaught, an X-Men series that was, I want to say, post-Image, post-Joe Madura Battle Chasers, whose name came up a lot as heavily influential at this period of art. And then they went back to an older X-Men meets the Fantastic Four series. I think it was a 4-issue miniseries that I definitely want to check out. It's had a lot of crossover with this, and it's the kind of art I'm leaning toward. So I'm not looking to make my name as an artist. I'm looking to do a sort of an opus. You know what I mean? I'm not going to spend 20 years working for Marvel and DC. I'm not looking to break into the comic book industry. I'm looking to produce something that the audience will enjoy reading. I'm not going to make billions of dollars, although that would always be nice. This is Tarzan number 24, written by Bill Mantlo, drawn by Sal Buscema, inked by Bob Hall, and colors by a new guy whose name I am not going to be able to read. Now you guys know why. Maybe I can. B. Sharon. It's colors. Still Costanza on the letters. Awesome cover, although I don't know what I like of the split screen sort of thing. But it's Tarzan returning to the jungle. And we're supposed to forget that before this, Tarzan, at the beginning of this series, I'm never going to let go of these plot holes. I made so much effort to avoid any of these, and I'm dealing with fantasy in the same way they are, and plot holes are everything. A plot hole can destroy your story. A significant one will get an engineering-based mind reader to put it down, and those people barely pick up fiction to begin with. I'd say only 50% of the population engages in fiction, especially read fiction. These days, when you have movies and TV, engineers are passive, completely passive that way, because their mind can still work on other things. So this is the epilogue for the bigger story. The first half of the issue is. This is Tarzan saying goodbye to everyone and leaving Pellucidar, which I believe is in some of the Edgar Rice Burroughs stories. Look at the heavy inks on his body. Now, I suppose this is because of the light. He's backlit with the portal open up behind him. And there's some conversation about who's staying behind and why. I would like to tell you all the choices, but none of them mean anything. I don't even care about the anti-white ritual humiliation going on with this black princess and her new white lover who she's never had a conversation with. They've never even, all they had was some adventures together. It's more than absurd. But it is Tarzan, and the cartoon was awesome. And as I said, fiction is about learning, and I love seeing how these characters interact with each other. That has always been my flaw, is interactions with other people, and what to take seriously, and what's sarcasm, and what's biting sarcasm, and how far, when do you go for a Pyrrhic victory, when do you let the other person win? So here we have Tarzan talking with the pirates who are going to distribute the treasure amongst the other pirates, but they're not going back to Middle Earth apparently, or if they are, they're following Tarzan later. Middle Earth, going back to the surface world. And if they're staying in Hollow Earth, the treasure has no meaning. So this is just stupid. But Tarzan does get back to the Mad Arab's quarry with Simon. His name is Pierre Leclerc. The French mercenary is the only one who survived. And they take the Mad Arab's dynamite. All the slaves have left naturally. They take the Mad Arab's dynamite and blow up the mine so that no one else can find this entry to the Hollow Earth. Whatever. I'm so over this. The art's good, but it is what it is. Again, we only have 6 issues left after this one, so the art's great. The art's great. But who cares? No one cares. No one cares. No one's learning anything. They're just doing this because they have to. They are literally doing this because they have. They feel like they have to. They're covering for a bad writer. And they're employing these other writers and artists to pick up the mess that he left. Here we get to Jane. Now this is important. At the beginning of this story, Tarzan only spoke the language of the apes of his tribe, vocalized. He could read English, but only read it. He didn't know how to vocalize it. When he met Jane, she taught him how to vocalize what he could already read, which is weird because how could you read if you couldn't vocalize it? But I don't know. It's fiction. As they said in Thank You for Smoking, Smoking in Space, we'll just use a couple lines. Don't worry, we can cover that. So this is Jane's story, which is about, I would guess, 5 to 10 years, maybe only a few years ahead in Tarzan's life from the time that he returned to the surface world. And here's a black-maned lion, which at first I was just thinking that, wow, this inker is out of his mind. They don't have lions with black manes, but they do have dark-maned lions, and it doesn't have to be black. It could just be really dark. Anyhow, there's these two groups out on the veldt, the African veldt. One of them is setting a fire, and they are chasing some animals, and the other group is got the fire coming toward them. Jane's group has the fire coming toward them. The other group was a gang of hunters. And so Jane now, she could escape the fire, but all the animals are stampeding away from the fire toward the ravine where they will all be killed. And she takes it upon herself to herd the animals away from the ravine to save their lives. Because Tarzan is an anti-poaching story. If Conan is be careful who you trust, I am really impressed. Look, I will say this. Oliver Stone, for Mishling, is a great writer. And what he did with Conan the Barbarian was really smart. He condensed all those issues, all those stories into the one simple dialogue between Conan and his father about the riddle of steel. And who can you trust? Because all the Conan issues that we've gone through, the number one mistake Conan always makes is trusting people who lie to him, who promise him one thing and give him something else, or tell him they want this and they want something else, or tell them they want that and they want something else. So here we get, now this guy, this is interesting. This is a poacher who, when he sees Lady Jane Greystoke, he tells the other members of his tribe, oh my God, there's a white woman. And they're like, we don't give a shit. Who fucking cares? That's this woman and this guy. They're the rich people who hired this this rifleman, this African safari hunter, to go on a safari and kill animals. And so this guy realizes they've endangered the life of Jane Greystoke. And she is going to try and save the stampeding animals with her jeep and her rifle. This is a good story. This is a great, oh, sorry if I was holding it wrong, but this is a great story. Just in the very beginning, the opening pages, we have a great story. We have a problem, we have a main character, and a main character who puts themselves at risk to solve the problem, right? That's what a story is. Rescue porn, right? That's what hero stories are. Predator is rescue porn. Tarzan and Conan are both rescue porn. And so here we get the lion helping her. He has a name. It's pretty long. Jar Bandar, some shit like that. I don't remember. But all the animals in the stampede, there's one of them who doesn't pay attention, and that's the rhino. He sees the jeep and sees it as a target, as something to blast with his horn. And if you've been around, like goats will just run up and blast you for no reason, for fun, because that's what they do. And rhinos are probably not too different. Kind of like dogs will come up and just attack your leg for no reason and rip your jeans up. They're having fun. And so this rhino attacks the jeep and knocks Lady Jane Greystoke out of the jeep into the ravine. And then he continues and pushes the jeep over the edge and drives her into the river below, where she falls into the water, and the lion, who is a member of her pride, a member of her tribe, is then captured by the poachers, who realize, the hunter realizes, oh my God, you've just captured Tarzan's lion and killed his wife. You are in big fucking trouble. And Tarzan, meanwhile, is heading back home. Now, I don't know where he was. We don't know where he was. He was not in Hollow Earth. This is years later. He was off doing something else. This is a different story. It just happens to coincide with he was off doing something else. Now this is where the hunter explains to the rich guy and his girlfriend, we are in big fucking trouble now. You have no idea what's just happened. Which is a great spot for a story. Jane's underwater in the river somewhere with her Jeep. Maybe breathing air out of the tires. I don't know. I saw that in a TV show once. That's genius. So yeah, look, that's a perfect thing. And I also, I should say this, I thought as a kid that 3 Days of the Condor, the what's his name? The blonde guy. God, why am I spacing on his name? Robert Redford. I thought the Robert Redford movie, 3 Days of the Condor, I'm getting old. Fucking, I know too many things. It's hard to keep track of all of them. I need to defrag my fucking brain and optimize all the storage. So Robert Redford movie, 3 Days of the Condor, I thought that his job was to read everything. All the novels, all the newspapers, everything that came out. I thought the people in his department their job was to read everything. That's not what their job was. Their job was to read all the memos for like the CIA or like their FBI, whatever, their agency, their Department of Defense. Their job was to read all the memos. Their job was to read everything. I literally thought this guy was so dangerous because he was reading everything. He was reading all the novels, all the books. He knew fucking everything that there was to know. And I thought that was the coolest fucking job you could have in the world. I didn't realize he's a proofreader for the fucking government. They were a proofreading department. So, anyhow, I was under the impression that that's how you could learn things. And, you could learn that you could breathe air out of the tire of a car underwater. And when guys are shooting at you, like the Punisher or Batman, you can stay underwater longer. So that's the kind of things I'm thankful for. When you have a mind like mine that just seizes on to all these... Look, I was the sort of person who like held on to all the little memes that you've heard over your life, like penny saved is or what, I don't know, like I'm forgetting them now that I'm trying to come up with them, but like all the little sayings, look twice before you cross the street, or look before you leap, or all those little things. Like I was a sort of kid who collected all of those because I needed every hint, tip, and trick to get through life, whereas everyone else was breezing through because of my fucking stupid eyes. I felt like I needed every advantage I could get. And I didn't. That was stupid. It was retarded. It was just a way for my brain to tell myself that, oh, this is why it's a struggle. This is why everything's hard. I ended up working 3 times as hard as everyone and sort of developed that as my personality. And it served me well. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. So I would say that's the most important thing in life, is how well you can learn. And today's conflicted card is the 5 of Hearts. This is conflicted deck 1. This is a hard one. This one hurts. This is an encounter card that does not leave you feeling well. So happy Thanksgiving ahead of time. You're in a small community at the end of the world, zombies, World War III, whatever you want, EMPs, whatever disaster scenario you like. One of your best friends comes up to you. Now, I have a lot of brothers, so this would be even harder if it was a brother. But one of your best friends comes up to you and tells you. Now, remember, he's coming up to you and telling you this. So this is an important piece of information. When someone tells you they're going to do something, it's a lot different than they did it. Okay? It's a lot different than they're in the process of doing it. This is someone coming up to you and giving you fair warning, whether it's 5-minute warning, 30-minute warning. The warning that you have is right now in this minute to figure out how you would react to this. This is what decisiveness and training gives you. Training is important. Fuck Ras Agul. Training is everything. Training gives you instant responses to scenarios that you have taken the time to think about ahead of time. Training is Batman. Fucking train. Train like your life depends on it, because it fucking does. Okay? This right now is training. One of your friends comes up to you and says, I'm going to kill your other friend. All the three of you, like the triumvirate, right? Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus. Pompey comes to Crassus and says, I'm going to murder Caesar. What do you do? End of the world scenario, right? What do you do? If he's talking to you, remember, if they're replying, they're buying. In the Marine Corps, they had a saying, if the troops are complaining, everything's fine. It's when they shut up that you're in trouble. When they shut up, they're plotting. When they're complaining, when they're grumbling, that's status quo. Everyone should be complaining because everything is fucking hard. If it's not hard, make it harder. That's how the people above you think. They don't want to pay artists too much because they'll get lazy and not turn in the work. But at the same time, you can't starve them either. You have to find a way to make the work make money. They had a system for a while where they were able to sell monthly comics and make money. It's dying, it's changing. Trade paperbacks have changed it. Digital has changed it. Video games have changed it. The fact that people don't read as much has changed it. You have to adapt. I'm working on combining video games and comics. I am working hard on it. And I am going to make it work. So what do you do? What do you do? That's an immediate confrontation between the three of them. You have to drag that fucker by his hair to the other friend and put a gun in his hand, and keep a gun in your hand and put a gun in the third man's hand. You have to solve that right then and fucking there. He won't tell you why. He won't tell you why he's going to murder your friend. You have to solve that immediately. Immediately. Whatever it takes. That's not a great way to solve Happy Thanksgiving. So I do want to say I'm super thankful that I've had the opportunity to write these novels. This is what I'm thankful for so far. I'm super thankful that I have the opportunity to work on the story that I'm working on. I'm thankful for every day. One thing I learned during the Marine Corps. As a kid, now this goes back to learning and writing. Reading is about learning, so writing has to be about teaching. There's no other way around it. Even reading for entertainment, when I'm most entertained, I'm learning something. And yes, my prejudices are probably being reinforced, but they're probably also being challenged. You can do both. A good writer does both. Maybe not effortlessly, but it looks easy. A good writer makes it look easy. So, I had a point, yes. What am I thankful for? I'm super thankful that I've had the chance to write these. I'm super thankful that I'm able to write what I'm writing now. Thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for that I'm able to do this. This is the most revolutionary part of writing, is me being able to come out here and talk to you directly to the audience without going through a publisher, without having to set up a book reading at some bookstore where you have to come out in person. We get to do this right now over the internet. So if you're interested in fiction, if you like science fiction, fantasy stuff, you're going to love this. Check it out when you've got time. There's no rush. The fear of missing out. How do you deal with that? Well, we're getting there because we are going to be at the very beginning limited in terms of print quantity. So our first three, we're going to do 3 crowdfunded books, and then I want to see if I can get the next 6 into comic shops or get them or publish them myself. So this is the big change. right here, being able to talk to you guys instead of having to go through a third party and schedule all kinds of media and advertising to get a chance to reach the audience. This is a big difference. So I've got to take advantage of it. All right, I've got places to go today. So people to see you guys tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. See you tomorrow.